Shana Tova. Who doesn't love a hero? Characters like Iron Man, Thor, or Captain Marvel. It's exciting to see them save the day time and again, all in the space of 2 hours and a bucket of popcorn. Maybe we even hold out hope that such a hero will swoop in right now and fix our broken world. My heart will always hold on to that hope. It's the child in me who longs for someone big and powerful to step in or fly from Krypton or Asgard. But my head knows there is no hero coming. We're on our own. It's on us to solve the problems of the universe. And I know I'm not alone. Many times in Jewish history, we have hoped for a hero, and many times we thought we had one who was bigger than life. Let me tell you the story of perhaps the most famous one. By the mid-17th century, 2 events impacted Jews around the globe. The first was the creation of Lurianic Kabbalah. Rabbi Isaac Luria, the founder of the mystical movement, prophesied that the Messianic age was at hand. The second was the Khmelnytsky massacres, when the Cossacks murdered tens of thousands of Polish Jews. Everyone was ready to believe the Messiah was almost there, and we needed one. The Jewish world was primed for a charismatic leader who promised to end the oppression of Jews throughout Europe and the Middle East, rebuild the Holy Temple in Jerusalem, and bring about the third age of Jewish sovereignty in the Holy Land. In 1648, a man appeared named Shabtai Tzvi. When he was 22, Shabtai began preaching to crowds along the Aegean coast. He preached that the end of days was near. He claimed that he could speak to God, and he would even pronounce the name of God in public, a direct violation of the third commandment. In no time, he was banished from his hometown and became an itinerant preacher, moving from one Jewish community to the next until his reputation caught up with him. Eventually, Shabtai settled in Thessaloniki, where he invited the local rabbis to attend his wedding. At the ceremony, he revealed his bride to be a Torah scroll. Needless to say, the rabbis excommunicated him on the spot. Throughout his travels, Shabtai created as many enemies as he did followers. After he left Thessaloniki, he entered a state of deep depression that drove him to seek out a mystic healer named Nathan of Gaza. But instead of healing him, Nathan declared that Shabtai was indeed the Messiah. Though Shabtai denied the prophecy, Nathan sent letters to Jewish communities around the Ottoman Empire, claiming that Shabtai would dethrone the Emperor Sultan and lead the Jews back to the land of Israel. Jews around the world heard this proclamation, packed their bags, and began the journey back to the land of Israel. When the Sultan caught wind of this plot, he had Shabtai arrested and gave him an ultimatum: convert to Islam or die. The very next day, Shabtai converted to Islam and appeared in public wearing a turban. While a few hundred of his followers converted with him, many tens of thousands more were stunned. Their whole world was turned upside down. If he wasn't the real Messiah, then what was real? Some gave up their Jewish identity in entirely. 400 years ago, in a world before viral media, Shabtai Tzvi whipped the global Jewish community into a messianic fervor after a once-in-a-generation massacre. Anti-Semitism went unchecked, and Jews endured global violence. Shabtai promised to be the superhero, but he ended up doing far more harm than good. If we wait for a superhero to save us from our problems, we will be disappointed. Yet I know there are everyday heroes among us already. They do not wear a cape or carry a lightning bolt, but they do the job. Earlier this year, the mom of a young girl came up to me before Sunday school. She explained that her daughter, let's call her Sarah, might need a little extra love this week. Why? Because her classmate in school did a Nazi salute right in front of her. Actually, it was directed at her. Now, let's be honest. A child in grade school probably doesn't know how offensive a Nazi salute really is. They're repeating what they saw on TV or in the movies. Sarah told him to stop. She called teachers over, but when they left, he did it again. Fed up, Sarah gave her classmate a swift punch in the gut. I guess her Krav Maga lessons at Sunday school paid off. As satisfying as it is to hear about Sarah standing up for herself, we can't punch every bully in the gut, and even if we could, that wouldn't stop people from hating us. Left with no other option, Sarah was forced to defend her Jewish identity. Fortunately, after the incident, the school did everything right. The parents of the child were mortified, and he hasn't stepped a toe out of line since. Sarah is my hero. She tried to solve the problem with words. She asked the adults for help, and they did what they could. But when nothing else helped, Sarah took action. I hope she never has to again. Our children shouldn't be put in these situations in the first place. Fortunately for Sarah and for us, many people are around us already to step up and stand together with us. And if we're going to fix our broken world, we're going to need them. First, we must build a solid, even sacred foundation. A society of people who help each other out, and we've done this before. After the death of King David, his son Solomon became king. God gave Solomon the honor of establishing the sacred temple in Jerusalem. When Solomon received his divine commission, the first person he turned to was not an Israelite, but a man named Hiram, king of Tyre, a foreign king. It was a big surprise given that the temple is supposed to be holy to the Israelites. We might assume it was only built and supplied by the Israelites. Yet, the foreign timbers supplied by King Hiram were the critical building blocks of God's earthly abode. In the Tanakh, it says, "Vayismach me'od vayomer, Baruch Adonai hayom asher natan leDavid ben Chacham al ha'am harav hazeh." Hiram was overjoyed when he heard this message. He said, "Praised is Adonai this day for granting David a wise son to govern this great people." Hiram put his own subjects to work together with the Israelites to cut and carry the timbers from Tyre in Lebanon to Jerusalem and Judea. God's home on earth was a joint venture between Israelites and non-Israelites. The message is clear. There have been, are, and will be righteous ones among the nations who will step forward and help the Jewish people. We don't have to stand alone. We can act together and even include the help of righteous strangers. The wise King Solomon knew this and made the house of prayer a house for all people. These are the actions of a superhero, bringing people together for a single mission, revealing God's presence in the process, and changing our world for the better. We can do the same today. We can bring together our allies. We can build a better world with those who would stand with us against senseless hatred and prejudice. We've done that before. In 1989, the Berlin Wall fell. What I've learned about that period of history is that Jews from America and Israel traveled to Russia, risking imprisonment, to secretly bring Jewish books to families so they could learn what it meant to be a Jew. Some saw Hebrew for the very first time. There was a worldwide Jewish effort to free the Jews of Soviet Russia. In America, thousands of Jews marched on Washington to rally congressional support for the release of the refuseniks, the prisoners of Zion. And finally, the Jews of Russia were free to emigrate. We had made the phrase, "all of Israel is responsible for one another," a reality. I saw it happen firsthand when I was just 6 years old. I was born in Richmond, Virginia, and just 5 months before the fall of the Berlin Wall, when Jews were able to leave Russia, several hundred came to Richmond. As they arrived, the Jewish community mobilized in an impressive effort to welcome and help settle the new American citizens. The details are fuzzy because I was so young, but from what I remember, we were connected with a family, the Chabinskys, who moved from Moscow to Brooklyn and finally settled in Richmond. As an impressionable kid in kindergarten, I remember feeling proud of my family. My dad helped Mr. Chabinsky find work. My mom helped the family settle at our synagogue. And I even remember setting up the party to celebrate their daughter becoming a bat mitzvah. This holiday, these high holy days, remind us of the collective responsibility we have towards everyone in the Jewish community. When we pray for forgiveness, we say, Avinu Malkeinu Chatanu Lifanecha, God, our sovereign, we have erred. Or when we confess, Ashamnu, Bagadnu, Gazalnu, we have shamed, we have betrayed, we have stolen. None of us are alone. We are responsible for one another and to one another. This is the Jewish way. But to end the persecution of Jews, we need more than just each other. We need all our allies to stand up with us. At Temple Emanu-El, we've taken this to heart. For years, we've been building bridges with our Muslim and Christian neighbors in Dunwoody, Sandy Springs, and the greater metro Atlanta area. We've celebrated Ramadan with our neighbors at the Atlantic Institute, a group of Turkish Muslims in Alpharetta. We've honored Christmas with our friends down the road at St. Luke's Presbyterian Church. And since October 7th, Temple Emanu-El has started 8 new relationships with houses of worship in our area. We've met with the Church of Latter-day Saints, the United Methodists, the Baptists, and the Catholics. We've recognized that living in peace and security in America comes with strong relationships between all our communities. In this way, we all get to be heroes. Together, in the year 5785, we will continue to chart a path forward that focuses on building these connections and more, not only here in our sacred home of Temple Emanu-El, but also in the wider region. If you want to be a part of this movement, please reach out to me, to Rabbi Spike or Rabbi Rachel. We need someone just like you to represent Temple Emanu-El in our greater area. May this be a year of increased opportunities of blessing, peace, and the opportunity to find our inner superhero. Shana Tova.